Well, hey guys, this is the second episode in the series of how I learned to hunt. As you know, I'm an adult onset hunter. I didn't grow up hunting, picked it up later in life, and so this series is just to think back on the experiences that helped me get from not a hunter to where I am today. I think in the last episode we left off with the guys at 1-800 Gun Racks, just some bird hunting and some good discussions. They had gone on their individual hunts, and Jerry and I were trying to figure out the big game draw. Jerry shot a big elk with his father-in-law on a private landowner tag. But yeah, he's shot a very big elk. But at that time, I was still figuring it out on my own, kind of trying to figure out where I would hunt in the state. I ended up putting in for my first big game draw, and got really lucky on my first go around. So I ended up drawing a limited entry pronghorn tag, a muzzleloader pronghorn tag, in a great unit in Utah. And at the same time, I drew a dedicated hunter tag at the same year. No points, obviously. Let me jump into my first big game hunt. So that was this 2017 muzzleloader tag, pronghorn antelope. And I'd done some summer scouting and felt really good about it. Took the family down and we camped, and we got into just a little herd. Because that night we did a little hike, and hiked up over this ridge, and there's antelope right there. I'm like, bam, that's sweet. This will be easy. So that was good. I think that aspect of it was fun. That same trip, I took Garrett on his first little rabbit hunt, and he talks about that. He loved the little 22 I bought him, Ruger 22, and didn't shoot at anything, but got out there. I think he found a shed, and so that was kind of a fun shared experience. But roll around to October time frame, I set up on this hunt and I ended up going solo. So my first big game hunt, solo. I load up the old motorhome, dragging my grandpa's 1971 F-250 behind me because I wanted to be a little bit mobile. Didn't have any other ways of conveyance back then, no other means to get around, so we ended up dragging this old pickup truck down behind the motorhome. Felt a little bit like a Beverly Hillbilly, if I'm honest. I love that trip. I have a lot of good memories of that trip. But I was down there alone. I went back to the same spot where I camped with the family, and got up opening morning, real gung-ho, like this is gonna be easy, remember? So got up to the top of the hill, hiked up to the top of the hill. Could see my camp from where I was glassing, and was looking around, and this start of this hunt really coincided with the deer muzzleloader. So there's a lot of deer hunters out there, and I got up there and I couldn't see an antelope. So I was a little bit disheartened there the whole morning, expecting to see an antelope, but didn't see one. Actually didn't see one the whole trip. Opening morning, so had that experience, drove grandpa's truck around, remembered that, man, I really wish it was four-wheel drive. Had a couple of points on trails where I would have to go up backwards just to make it up the trail, but it ran, so we have that. So that was good. That was fun. That night I went to bed and got up in the morning, and it had snowed, and that kind of freaked me out a little bit. I was in that motorhome. I had that two-wheel drive truck. Like, I was afraid I was going to get stuck. So early that morning, I packed up and I relocated further south to where there wasn't snow. Still in the same unit, obviously, but I went further south to kind of expand my horizons and look for some pronghorn. Long story short, I had some great time. Beautiful country. I'd love to go back there, but I didn't see any antelope down there the whole time. Biologist notes there that the antelope down there, they behave a lot like deer and elk, and they're in the aspens and in the woods, and they're not out in the open, kind of like the traditional pronghorn hunt. So yeah, took that learning, but yeah, I didn't see an animal. When you're hunting and you don't see any of the game you're after, you tend to get a little bit discouraged, down to yourself, and I ended up packing up and leaving early. Just the weight of family responsibilities and work responsibilities. I just threw the towel in. Looking back on that, that's my biggest regret for my first hunt, is that I quit. I went home early. I thought I was giving a good effort, but looking back at it, I just didn't know what effort it would take, or what was required. I didn't know what effort I was actually putting into it, and kind of fell prey to that trap. And it's a shame, because I'll never get that tag again. In Utah, you have to choose your limited entry species, and I'm building points for elk now, so I'm never gonna draw a pronghorn tag. So I have a little regret there. I was lucky on my first go around, had a good unit, had all the time blocked out. I'd already paid a price, I paid gas to get down there. I was away from my family. I should have spent the time and invested the time, and trusted the old truck a little bit more to drive the roads down there to find the animals, but I didn't end up leaving early. So that's one takeaway. I think, for new hunters, it's you gotta put the time in. None of it is given to you. And you gotta invest the time to be successful.